Well, well, well. Celine Song comes out with another well thought out movie that involves a love triangle. This time it's a materialist, and this time I might not love it as much. Let's talk about it. Yes, Materialist came out to theaters this weekend, and this was one of my most anticipated movies of the summer because I loved Past Lives for Celine Song. Such a very grounded and emotionally enriched movie that I thought was unabashedly authentic and fitting of life and culture. And in a lot of ways, Materialist fits that same bill. It's not afraid to be honest and upfront and be real and authentic with what the real life is going to be like. And it's not trying to, I think, please us like you might thought. My biggest complaint coming out of Materialist is that A24 tried marketing this as a rom-com, and it is not a rom-com. This is a breakdown, analytical character discussion of what modern dating is like in the world and how a lot of people are viewing people before they even get a chance to sit down and talk to somebody in this current age of matchmaker / dating apps / Tinder, all that type of stuff. And I think Song, for a lot of this movie, hits those points down hard and takes you on a journey of what are you looking for with life? Are you looking to find that love, that spark, that one connection to a person that you can't explain? Or are you looking for the things that you value and make you feel valued? It's two very similar but also very separate things throughout, and it's shown through Lucy, played by Dakota Johnson, who is a expert matchmaker. Now, on her journey, we learn about a little bit about her prior relationship to John, played by Chris Evans, an aspiring actor / kind of a failed individual in New York City, still living in a multi-person apartment and not having much money to life, calling himself broke throughout the whole entire movie. Foiled to Chris Evans is the ever so rich, delightful, and Mr. Perfect Harry Costello, played by Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal's Harry here is everything you hope you get out of somebody in life, your perfect match, without having any of the issues. He is very well respectable. He is very considerate. He is very just, understanding, and not trying to be the worst that you can picture men being. He understands Lucy in some ways. He respects Lucy. He sees her as almost more of an equal in an emotional intelligence way, in ways that he wants to learn and expand his horizon. And that connection between Pascal and Johnson is what drives a lot of this movie early on. I think it is a very interesting and honest way of giving a relationship. There really is no emotional manipulation. There is no turn of Pedro Pascal's character becoming a generic, bland, bad, rich individual guy that you're like, oh, you really would only want to be with this guy for the money. No, he's well thought out. He's understanding. He's not somebody who, lives in this he lives in a sheltered, rich world. We get that. And there's moments in this movie where you get the vulnerable aspects of Pedro Pascal that work very, very well. On the other side, you have Chris Evans, and I think he works pretty well as the person that you can tell Lucy has that connection to Lucy, that loves Lucy per se, for whatever reason, they just have that connection. He doesn't really ever want to give up on her in terms of he's always going to be there for her, whether she wants him as a lover or just somebody to talk to. He will always make time for Lucy and care for Lucy. And it's just a type of special bond that gets illustrated throughout this whole entire movie when figuring out who Lucy is going to end up with. Now, like I said, this isn't a rom-com. This is a very, I think, character-grounded, analytical movie just going over the dating world. And I don't think anybody highlights that as well as I think the breakout, standout best performance and story in this movie, which is Sophie F., played by Zoe Winters. Zoe Winters from Succession. Man, that Succession cast continues to prove maybe it isn't just the writing in that show is good, maybe that show just had damn good acting and everything else around it. Because even though one of Logan's wife's minor characters, Zoe Winters jumps off the screen here as a almost 40-year-old woman looking for love and just having the worst time of it. The men feeling like she's too old, that her time is done, that I'm looking for a girl in her 20s. I am not late 30s. 39 is basically 40. She's in her 40s. And Zoe, in some ways, not wanting to settle. She's looking for guys that are over 6 feet. She's looking for guys with a certain amount of money, per se. And I think that is, in a much more larger way, reflected to what the dating world can feel like in modern society. People are being judged just by looking at pictures and basic, check boxes of, what's their job? What's their religion? What's their political beliefs? How do they look in this picture? All that stuff is mattering for a modern dating society, and Song is able here through Lucy's, ad agency and the characters in the agency to highlight that toxic and very uninviting process throughout the whole entire way. And Sophie goes through so much in this movie in so short of a time, and Zoe Winters makes the absolute most of every scene she's in involving Lucy and others around them. Again, I hope she gets leading work off of this because I think she carried the supporting performance so well in a movie that had two great acting performances from their leads. For me, the biggest issue of this movie is Dakota Johnson. She is so monotone, and everything she says just sounds like this. Whether she's happy, whether she's excited, whether she's sad, she's just Dakota Johnson. And I personally could not connect to Lucy because of that. Even the best parts of Lucy, the analytic nature and the great writing behind Lucy, Dakota Johnson brought no chemistry and no flair out, to the characters of Harry and John. Most of that chemistry and charisma was carried by Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans, and they did a good job carrying the corpse of a monotone Dakota Johnson. Please stop casting her in movies. She is a bad actress. I get she is a Nepo baby, and she has this interesting monotone appeal, but you can't get anything out of her. She's so monotone and bland that characters just put you to sleep. I was being put to sleep when it was just her in this movie. So much so that when I went to go see Ballerina afterwards, I was falling asleep at parts in a very interesting action movie. You can check out the review here on the channel. If it's not up yet, it'll be up soon. Dakota Johnson. Why? Why is she still around? Maybe she gets these jobs because she doesn't need money because she's a Nepo baby, but it's just monotone bleakness. And in some ways, maybe that was a positive feature in this movie, but in a lot of ways, it just caused a lack of chemistry between any of the male interests. And whenever you see somebody like, Zoe Winters as Sophie on the screen across from Dakota Johnson, you're just like, why couldn't she be Lucy? She brought out just emotion throughout, where Dakota Johnson, like she always is emotionless in her acting and her voice. That being said, I wasn't upset that this wasn't a rom-com. I know Celine Song. She gives great writing. She gives a great look at things. She's unabashedly honest with the thoughts and present ideas of the world. And she can tell stories in a very unusual way that just feels authentic in the real world. And that's what works best for Materialist. And it's why, for me, I'm giving Materialist here a good platinum grade. It's not high platinum for me. It's more closer to the gold end. But if you go in looking for a rom-com, you will be mildly disappointed by this. This is a character study, well thought out thinking, look at dating in the modern world and everything that goes on around it. And it does that very well. But if you don't know what you're going into, you're not going to enjoy this movie. But if you do go in what you're going into, I think you'll find this movie really thought-provoking and just very, very well made, very well shot, great cinematography, great camera work. well, great, made production design and an excellent Celine Song script. But tell me your thoughts on Materialist down in the comments down below. Like and subscribe as I continue to catch up on movie season after a family trip. And yeah, Ballerina's going to be out here soon. My How to Train a Dragon review, the Phoenician Scheme, all that's going to be on the channel and more. So like and subscribe for all movie content here today.